What is up, Buckeye Nation? Welcome to Scoop, man. You just saw what happened. This is what I want to do right now. Let's give us the big OH, man. We went in there, handled business. I'm Devin here on Scoop and the Buckeye Boys, waiting on Nevada to join us. He was at the game, so he's coming in. I seen everybody in the chat in there chatting before the show started. Appreciate you guys for joining us. Exciting game, super exciting. I'm surprised I still have my voice. I was yelling a little bit, but it wasn't one of those games where I honestly yelled too much because the Buckeyes didn't really make that many mistakes. So overall, dominant performance on defense for the Buckeyes, the goal line stand. There's so many things to talk about. I am stoked, obviously. Some things to clean up for the Buckeyes, but my number one goal in this game, hands down, I did not give a dang how it looked. I didn't care if we had 5 turnovers. As long as we won the game, that's what I was focused on. That's what I wanted. That's what Julian Sayin did. That's what Ryan Day did. That's what Matt Patricia did. That's what the team did, man. They went in there. They got a win against the number one team in the nation. This is Ryan Day's 6th consecutive win against a top 5 opponent, right? So soft 2, right? At this point in time, if you want to talk about Ryan Day being soft, you're not going to sound like the smartest dude in the room. That's a promise. And Julian Sayin, he broke the first time starting QB going up against AP poll number 1. He broke that losing record. He won. Guess who the quarterback was that held that record in 1984? Old Jim Harbaugh. So Julian Sayin is replacing his name on that stat. So we love to hear that. But an exciting game, man. Like I said, Nevada is going to be joining us here shortly. Funky might be jumping on as well. It's a good day to be a Buckeye. We needed the W. You heard Ryan Day after the game. He said Julian Sayin he loved his composure, and he felt like they probably could have, released him a little more and let him do his thing. They had the confidence that he'd probably be able to do that, but they didn't want to do that to him on the first game. And you could tell, with the play calling and running up the middle and stuff. But honestly, you're not going to hear me dive into much of anything that was wrong with the game because we came away with the win. I got some couple things written down. The first half, Julian Sayin, 6 for 11, 53 yards, but the dude should have been 9 for 11, even more than that. There was, they were all over JJ with the holding. There were 2 pretty blatant holding calls on JJ, and that was getting him pretty upset, pretty flustered. I'm not worried about JJ and the 2 drops. He'll get that figured out. He's the best wide receiver in the nation. CJ Donaldson, very tough runner, took the majority of the snaps that game. That was exciting to see in the first half. The JJ 2 drops, the Carnell Tate, every catch he had, he's just got good hands, man. Extremely underrated. If they're going to cover JJ, then they got to cover Carnell as well. And first half, I saw Ethan Anianwa in there rotating with Tegra. They kind of went away from that in the second half a little bit, but I'm stoked, man. I got a list of things to get into. I'm trying to stall for Nevada and them to get into. So chat, how we feeling, man? Overall, 10 is you're as excited as you can be. 1, hey, we got a long way to go. Where you at? 1 out of 10. I'm at a 10 right now. Again, you're not going to catch me breaking down the things that I think can be better. It's the first game of the season, a first starting quarterback, 2 brand new coordinators, and we just beat the number 1 preseason ranked team in the nation. Okay, so A lot of the offense things, I know a lot of people are going to dive into, man, this offense, this offense, this offense. How many times did we start down in our own red zone on offense with the first time quarterback and that type of game? That's hard to do for any team. I don't care who you are. That's hard to always start offense coming out of, inside the 10-yard line multiple times. But dude, I'm super, super impressed with Julian Sayin, his decision making. I was a little bit worried he was going to come out wanting to be that gunslinger, right? And make some mistakes, kind of like we saw Arch do. He made several mistakes in that game. But Julian Sayin did not. All he needs to do is be a game manager. We watched Will Howard do it last year. Will Howard was a beast. Julian Sayin got to sit back and watch what Will Howard did last year, and that's what he just did. He did what he needed to do to win the game. He put the ball in the playmakers' hands, and they made enough plays to win the game. Carnell Tate with that grab, that was a beautiful throw by Julian Sayin. But a lot of exciting things. I'm pumped, right? The fan side of me picked a 34-24 Buckeye victory, and I just held to that guess because that's the one I said first. My brain kept telling me 20-17, the lower scoring game, not this low scoring, but that's what ended up happening. The Buckeyes come away with a 14-7 victory over Texas. But chat, do me a favor. While you're in here, there's 271 of you in here. Hit that like button for us. Hit that subscribe button as well. Super chats are open. You guys got questions for Nevada and Funky and myself of the game, thoughts, anything like that, get them in there. We'll get to those at the end of the show. But again, a lot of good things going on with the Buckeyes. Matt Patricia kind of shut the nation up with this whole, a couple days before the game, I'm pretty sure if you're in this chat, you saw the social media stuff about Matt Patricia and people questioning the hire. And man, he got ran out of the Lions organization and all that stuff. He shut some people up. Now, granted, he's got some dudes, man. He's got some dudes. This defense excites me. This defense excites me a lot. And to narrow it down a little bit, number 8, his name is Arvell Reese. I don't know if you've heard of him or not, but you're going to hear of him now because that dude is exactly what we've been being told that he is. He's a dude. And they just seem fast, man. They seem super fast. Now, granted, I watched the game too. I saw that, Arch Manning, he was just off. He was off in a pretty big way. That helped the Buckeyes out a couple separate times. But when you're coming into an atmosphere like that, going up against a defense like that, he remembers what happened last time. He saw when he decided to air it out what happened. I can't tell you how many. I think there was 2 or 3 almost interceptions. That Sonny Styles one where Jermaine Matthews tipped it away and Sonny dove for it. I was watching and I could see why they turned it over, but I just didn't think they had enough to turn it over because we saw the Texas touchdown, the first one, the long throw. We saw a similar thing happen in that fashion where you could see the ball move when it hit the ground, but you really couldn't see anything else. And he ended up with the ball in his hands like Sonny did. So wasn't a huge fan of some of those calls, but overall, right? I thought officiating, I just thought the Buckeyes handled business, man. They just handled business. So Arch, let me see what I got here. And we're going to be going through all this again when obviously Nevada and anybody else gets on here. Let's try this here. So Texas had 336 total yards. The Buckeyes 203. Texas 170 passing yards. Us 126. They had 6 penalties for 50 yards. We had 2 for 15. So obviously before the game, we heard about people getting a little bit worried about this being an SEC officiating crew. I didn't see too much of that. I saw a pretty well-called game. Obviously, in college football anymore, I don't think I'm ever going to agree with every call that's made in the game, but I'm not quite sure that I'll find anybody else that would agree with everything, Call. But again, overall, beyond ecstatic, um, especially for the future, because you see the potential that this team has. We saw Phillip Daniels start at right tackle, and good, finally, just in time here. I was running out of stuff to talk about Nevada. Thanks for the save. What up, Nevada?
Oh man, what a game. What a game. That was amazing. I don't know how well it came across on television, but for the people that were there, it was wow. And first thing I want to say, I want to give a shout out to Ross Bjork and the game presentation crew because they knocked it out of the park today. They threaded the needle between the great traditions of Ohio State and then turning that thing into a rock concert. And it was freaking awesome all day long, man. And the crowd made a difference. The crowd gets a big bunch of Buckeye leaves from Nevada Buck because they made a difference. And wow, what a great atmosphere.
Yeah, that's one thing I have written down. As you saw, the false starts, their right tackle for Texas, we knew he was a bit of a question mark, and that came to fruition because of the crowd, all the noise, the false starts, the different things. They came through in moments when we needed it. But overall, Nevada, I was saying you're not going to catch me diving into things that I think the Buckeyes can do better because the only thing I was concerned about this game, I did not care if the Buckeyes had 5 turnovers in this game. If they came away with the W, I was personally going to be absolutely thrilled. And that's what they did. They got it done. Like there's things you can dive into. It's the first game of the season. They're going to get a lot of things cleaned up. But overall, they got it done. They handled the pressure. Julian Sayin, Nevada. I mean, I guess let's start there. What are your thoughts with him? He needed to be a game manager. Do you think he accomplished the goal of being the game manager like Will Howard did last year?
Well, I've seen a lot of Julian saying, and if you guys have been following the podcast, if you've been on the website, I predicted that Julian Sayin would outperform Arch Manning in this game. And in my opinion, he did so in spades. I don't know what the final stats look like and things like that. I mean, Julian had some really unfortunate and untimely drops. Arch Manning was spraying the ball all over the field. I mean, it's he's lucky he didn't have the ball picked 4 or 5 times because he was late and high and all over the place with the ball. And Julian never put the ball in harm's way. Always had the thing in the right spot. Really polished, really composed. Yeah, maybe he underthrew the deep ball to Carnell a little bit. I mean, are we going to get into that where we're Julian saying can't throw the deep ball because he underthrew Cornell Tate by a foot? But I mean, wow, what to come into that situation against the number one team in the country, or really good, really veteran Texas defense and Julian's. But you know what? That's the Julian saying that I've been seeing for years in Southern California playing quarterback. And that's why I said the moment wasn't going to be too big for him. Out of El Escondido High School, playing North County, playing those great teams down in San Diego, those teams down in Orange County. He's him. Julian Sayin is him, and that's why he was the number one player in the country. That's why he was the Elite 11 winner. That's why he's going to be a great quarterback at Ohio State. And I thought he was, I know we had question mark coming in, and everybody was like going, Arch Manning's got so much experience. He played against Louisiana Monroe. He played against Mississippi State. He's played in the SEC. He's done this, and I'm like, Arch Manning is not going to do better than Julian Sayin. And I don't know how you again. I don't know how you saw it, Devin, but from my I thought Julian Sayin was a clear winner in the quarterback derby today between those two. I think it was probably the biggest difference was Julian Sayin's composure compared to Arch Manning's just spraying the ball around.
Yeah, and you heard Ryan Day after the game. He made it very obvious. He said, "Listen, we didn't want to have Julian Sayin throwing all over the field, but he said, I feel like he could have handled it. I feel like we could have done that. But it being the first game of the season, we didn't want to do that to Julian Sayin. But yes, he managed the game perfectly. Max Clare had a drop. JJ Smith had a drop. He should have been 9 for 11. Some would argue 10 for 11 in the first half with that throw to JJ. What the DB was all over him. But definitely should have been 9 for 11. Max Clare and JJ Smith are not going to have those drops in the future. And they were beautiful dime. I mean, they were perfect passes. That was not because the passes were difficult to be caught. So, yes, Julian Sayin managed it perfectly. When you look at the stat line, I got it right here. You know, actually, let's go with Julian Sayin 13 for 20, 126 yards, 1 touchdown. And here is Arch Manning 17 for 30, 170 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. I'm going to be honest with you, Nevada. Arch Manning missed a lot of timely throws that were not difficult throws. And Julian Sayin just seemed to be just calm, cool, and collected the entire time. I mean, that scramble pass to Carnell Tate, when he threw that, my heart kind of sank. I was like, no, 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 throw it away. And then it was right to Carnell. And I'm like, all right, bro. And then you saw him scramble some other times, and he clearly was throwing the ball away. One time he probably should have scrambled at the end to let the clock time come off the clock, but he threw it away. He made those smart decisions, and ultimately that's what won him the starting job to begin with. That's what Ryan Day said. We know Ryan Day. We know this team is loaded with weapons. We need a game manager with the capability to make plays if needed. And I think Julian Sayin is going to be that perfect baller, because Ryan Day said they did not unleash Julian Sayin today whatsoever, but he feels he could have easily handled it. So I'm excited for the future of the Buckeyes.
Well, I mean, what a streak. I mean, when you look at the streak that Ryan, I mean, go back and look at this, okay? Not these are not games, not consecutive, but consecutive games against top five, and then I'll throw a top 10 team in there. Penn State, Indiana, Tennessee, Oregon, Texas, Notre Dame, Texas again. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh my gosh. What was the thing about Ryan? They couldn't win the big game or something like that. Holy
Yeah,
guacamole. Has anybody ever won more big games? Look at this stretch, the stretch of Tennessee, Oregon, Texas, Notre Dame, Texas. That's been our last 5 games. And he's won all
yeah,
5 of them. I mean, eh, I just don't have words, man. I don't have words. Let alone cover the spread in all the games, which I know just for betting and just for friendly betting purposes out there, but showing these exceeding expectations in all of these games. And yeah, I mean, he had them ready. But if you look before the game, there was question marks. You remember all the hand wringing about the defensive line, specifically the interior defensive line. Now, again,
oh, I
were we
do.
perfect? No, no. But do you remember all the talk? We were just fine. You know what I'm saying? We were just fine. Defensive Matt Patricia. Oh, he's a bomb. Oh, he failed at Detroit. Oh, he's never called a defense in college before. Yeah, he called defense from the sideline today. Is that
Yeah,
true? I heard that he called it from the
he
sideline,
did.
which is crazy. Which is crazy. And I mean, that was a big answer to that. I thought the offensive line acquitted themselves. I mean, again, lots to work on. I mean, let's give Texas credit. Texas is a really good football team. They're a really good football team, but we were a little better. Arch is not that guy. Maybe will be someday, but I agree with you. He missed a lot of throws where he had guys where he could have done stuff. I thought he got bailed out on that interception on Sonny Styles because, yes, I know the ball hit the ground, but then the ball hit the ground on the touchdown play, and they ruled that. I don't even. I'm going to stop trying to understand replay anymore,
Yeah.
because I don't understand it. But he was very fortunate that his stat line wasn't 4 or 5 interceptions, because I don't know how it was coming across the TV, but he was spraying it all over the yard, high and late. And usually when you go high and late over the middle, it ends up in the arms of the defensive back. But they only ended up as incompletion, so he was very fortunate.
Yeah, so this was Ryan Day's 6th win in a row to a top 5 opponent. So Nevada, I said before you got on here, if whoever is trying to call Ryan Day soft at this point in time is the most unintelligent person in the room. That's just obvious. That there's not even an argument there anymore. He is not soft. This team is not soft whatsoever. And honestly, Nevada, I would argue with you a little bit on the defensive line and say that, my goodness, this was the number one team they had what, fourth and goal with 6 inches, and guess what? They didn't do it. I mean, that is a I mean, to do that to this Texas team, right? Hold them again on the goal line is you have got to be a very, very high caliber defensive line. And yes, I get why you say there's a lot of things to work on. There is, but to answer the question, is this defensive line going to be able to get this done with the depth? Will Smith Jr. was in there. Ty Malone was in there. Kenyatta Jackson got hurt. Bo Atkinson came in, did his thing. CJ Hicks had the essentially game-winning sack per se against Arch Manning. I mean, yeah, there were some things, but they had 2 fourth-down stops. For some reason, the stats only say they say Texas was 1 for 2 on fourth downs. Were they not 1 for 3? Am I missing something there, Nevada? Didn't we have 2 fourth-down stops?
I think they were 1 for 5. Let me check, but I'm pretty sure they were 1 for 5.
Yeah, the
I
the
mean, yeah,
so
I
the
mean, yeah, they were 1 for 5. They
oh,
were
you're
one
right.
for
Yeah,
five on the
it
stops.
updated. Yeah, when I looked at it, it
Yes.
wasn't updated. Look at that, man. You know why? That's the defensive line. And I mean, Nevada, talk about this secondary with Jermaine Matthews. I know he got beat on that one. Wide receiver pushed off a little bit, but he got beat on that one catch, per se, if you want to say it. But I thought this secondary, I'm super stoked. I thought they locked down some of these receivers and held them in check for the most part. The interception, all the close interceptions, and there was a lot of the time Arch Manning was have to scramble and make some of these crazy throws. Why? Because of the coverage early in the play. I thought they did a phenomenal job.
Well, yeah, no, they were great. And from again, you have the benefit when you're at the stadium of seeing all the routes and everything, and there just were not guys running open deep. And yeah, on that touchdown play, you know, Patricia had it schemed up perfectly. Jermaine Matthews had it covered up perfectly. And the receiver just some hand fighting, did a good job kind of separating at the end and getting that and got the benefit of the call on the touchdown. But yeah, the defense was so good. I mean, so good. I did see the game as being kind of an undery game. I didn't see it being this undery. I was like 23-20. Ohio State ended up being 14-7, but the better team won. The better team won today, which is always nice in a game like this because the game was close. Texas was a worthy opponent, but Ohio State was just better. We're just better, and we've got a lot of things that we can improve. And if we see those guys again down the road, I have no doubt that we'll have more for them. Things are going to look a lot different as we kind of get through there. But yeah, Ryan Day, I mean the soft thing, starting from that stooge Portnoy or what he likes to kind of throw that stuff out there, and that's why I always tell people don't give that guy any oxygen. I mean, all you got to look at is the scoreboard. I mean, I'm trying to think of a time when Ohio State's had a tougher run of games, and I'll spare you the look. It's never happened, and it's never even been close to happening. Something like this, and Ryan Day's won them all. His winning record is up there with like Newt Rockney, and I mean, like it's like right up there with the greatest of all time. Um, and somehow yeah, there can be a question mark about Ryan Day. I mean, oh my goodness. I mean, Urban Meyer's greatest contribution to Ohio State might have been plucking Ryan Day from obscurity because none of us had heard of him before he hired him as an offensive coordinator and then handed him the whistle to become the head coach because he is a freaking monster. And you know something? He was coaching differently today. He was coaching differently. This is a new guy. This is not the old Ryan. This is not nervous Ryan. I thought that the decision to go for it fourth down was immediate. There was no hesitation. Um, I love the way, people can complain about the play calling and say, well, this was a little conservative. This and man, Texas's punter, who was their MVP, was putting us in some really difficult spots. And we kind of got bailed out on one because we had a holding in the end zone, would have been a safety, and they had an offsetting personal foul on that play. And but I thought that given the circumstances, I thought Brian Hartline did a acceptable job in the play calling because we were really hampered by bad field position and the fact that I had the feeling the whole time that if we just don't turn the ball over, Devin, we're going to win the game. And you know what? We didn't turn the ball over, and we won the game. And they did turn the ball over, and they lost the game. And that's they get stopped at 4th and 1 on the half-yard line, and they turn the ball over on an great interception by Jermaine Matthews. We don't turn the ball over. We cash it in from 4th and 1 from the goal line, and there you go. That was the ball game.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to complain about Brian Hartline and his play calling, but Ryan Day said after the game that was on purpose, and we just witnessed the exact opposite. Right? We watched Texas have to let Arch Manning air it out. They had to let him go and do his thing, and what'd he do? He turned the ball over, put the ball in a lot of dangerous situations. So that's what Ryan Day wanted to avoid. Again, their number one goal, he said it upcoming to the game, was just win the game. Don't put expectations on yourself as a player. Well, us as fans, don't put expectations on these players for the first game. As long as they go out and win, that's what matters. And that's what they did. They got it done. Yeah. Ryan Day said Julian Sayin can do way more. This team can do way more. We know that, but they didn't need to. They went out and they won the game. It got a little tight down towards the beginning, but you could tell that whole game that there was a lot of trust in this defense. And when you look at like this overall stat, you see the rush yards of 166 yards for Texas, and the 170 yards. You look at that 166 yards, 5 yards per play. I can see how you can say this defensive line has a lot of work to do. But when it mattered the most, guess who showed up? This defensive line, 1 for 5 on fourth down. So if you want to run down the field, but you can't make it past the 10-yard line on this defense, I'll take that all season long. It happened to last year's defensive line. How many goal line stands did they have? And that's what it is. Just don't let them score. That's what this defense did. And you talk about like the skill levels, the defensive line. Kenyatta Jackson got hurt. We saw the depth there. Bo Atkinson had to come in. And then these linebackers with Arvell Reese and Sonny Styles, those guys are just laying the hammer down on some of these Texas players for most of the game. But uh, listen, Nevada, while you're at the game, tell me what you saw from Arvell Reese and what you're excited about from him in the future. Because I know what I saw on TV. What'd you see in person?
I mean, just a stud. We talked a lot about it before the game about how they were going to deploy Arvell, how the Patricia defense was going to feel different from the Knowles defense, and he was just great. He was all over the field, but they look. They had Peyton Pearson there. Obviously, C.J. Hicks with that monster play at the end, came unblocked and almost got Arch Manning down, forced the throw on the 4th down. Sonny was terrific, but Arvell, that's going to be, they're going to use Arvell a lot in those blitz packages to generate because we don't have that pure pass rusher. We don't have a Chase Young. We don't have a Joey Bosa or Nick Bosa or a Will Smith or something like that on the outside. But you know what? Matt Patricia doesn't need that to generate pressure. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of different ways you can be creative and generate pressure. And Arvell Reese was it was like he was shot out of a cannon a bunch of times. Really responsible, really making the nice plays. I just, this defense is just a joy to watch because it's so well coordinated. And not just by Patricia, but by, you know, you know, by the players on the field. You know what I'm saying? Like that when you watch them out there and you're like, oh my gosh, like these guys are just like they're always in the right spot. They're always doing the right thing. And I thought that it was crazy that was the first game of the season because it looked like something late in the season where you've got a team really doing it. This was our first game. This is our first game, and what we were replacing 8 new starters, an entire defensive front four, linebacker, Cody Simon, one of our great linebackers, Denzel Burke, Jordan Hancock, Lathan Ransom. You're replacing a lot of guys, and man, they just they got it done. But that's the benefit of having a guy like Caleb Downs, in that safety spot where he can kind of creep up to the line, get the thing in the right calls. I thought we struggled a little bit when Texas went tempo, which was a smart adjustment on their part because it kind of took the crowd out a little bit because the crowd didn't have time to really get going. And there's a lot of times they were snapping the ball and our guys were still turning around and pointing and things like that. So I thought that Sark did a nice job of adjusting to that at halftime in terms of bringing that out. Um, but yeah, no, Arvell was terrific. I knew he would be. I think he was even better than I thought he would be. But this entire defense, man, I know we came in with questions, but I mean, McLean was a little late on one play, on a deep post play, late in the game. Would have liked to see maybe a little better effort on that. Devin Sanchez got cooked a couple of times, but something that's going to happen. I saw Anton Winfield get cooked. I saw Sean Springs slip. So that happens to young cornerbacks. But I mean, Iggy didn't not get a pass interference call today, so we got to celebrate that. I mean
Yes.
that should be like a national holiday when that happens. But we played a lot of guys on defense, and Bo Atkinson was. I mean, he was really good. Bo Atkinson was really good today, and that was a great addition out of the portal guy. They flopped them inside. He was bringing on the outside, bringing the consistent pressure. So not gaudy sack numbers. I think we only got the one with Arvell Reese, but so much to like about the defense, and what an effort.
Yeah, I paid attention to a couple guys on the defense. Number one, Caleb Downs. And when you hear the coaches say that he's a coach on the field, and you hear the players say that as well, when you go back and watch this game, when they went tempo, pay attention to Caleb Downs. He is moving players all over the field like they're chess pieces. He was the one that was keeping the linebackers and that secondary in check on the tempo. I saw it multiple times. A lot of players were looking at him like, what do I do? And he is literally pointing, switching spots with Sonny Styles, I believe, one time, back and forth. Him. And then another one, man, Caden Curry. Caden Curry, because I noticed one thing, Nevada, about this defense, and I could be a little off here, but they just seem to move all over the field a little bit faster than last year's defense. And one of those is Caden Curry. I mean, I saw him running down running backs from behind all the way over on the sideline before a linebacker or a safety could get to him. Caden Curry is tackling these guys, and they just seem super fast. CJ Hicks, he didn't just make that, uh, you know, tackle at the end of the game, that goal line stand. Go back and watch the third down before that. Who was the one that made that tackle? CJ Hicks was in there on that. CJ Hicks did good. And my eyes were on him for this game to see, hey, what kind of player is he going to be? And they put him in on situational downs, and he did his job when they put him in for those downs. So it's awesome to see the weapons that Matt Patricia utilized. He's going to keep utilizing them better and better. It's great to see. Devin Sanchez didn't get put in by any means in any garbage time whatsoever. I mean, it was in the most critical series of the game, the last series, the last defensive series of the game. And who's in? Devin Sanchez. Did he get beat on a couple? Yeah, but what's that tell you about the coaches, the trust that they have in this guy? This is a superstar in the making. Nevada, you brought up multiple times, examples of, superstars. We know them to be superstars, but in the beginning of their career, they made mistakes. So overall, a lot of weapons on this defense. We could go on and on and on about what we saw from some of these players, some things to clean up, some defensive linemen. We pray Kenyatta Jackson is okay. He was walking around on the sideline, but I don't know any information about his injury. But Nevada, over to the offensive side of the ball, James Peoples, CJ Donaldson. Give me your thoughts about the rushing attack this game, in particular, the two running backs.
Well, let me give you a Kenyatta Jackson's concussion protocol thing. So it's not a
Okay.
long-term thing. So but he'll be fine. I thought the running backs were good. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say were they as good as Trey Henderson and Quinshawn Judkins? No. Um, were there a couple of plays that were blocked up, maybe better than what they got up? Yeah, but they did it. They did enough. You know what I'm saying? Like that. They did enough. They got some tough yards, and most importantly, they didn't fumble. They didn't fumble. They were in the right spot. When we needed them to block and pass protection, I thought they did an adequate job in terms of doing it. So I'll give them, a B. You know what I'm saying? So I wouldn't. It's not an A game for them, but it certainly wasn't a C. It was a good. It was a winning performance. It was good enough for us to have done it. And this was one part of the game plan that I thought I had pretty much nailed. I think Ohio State wanted to come out and establish a physical tone against Texas. They were going to do it. They brought out C.J. Donaldson on the first possession. They were trying to hammer them a little bit, trying to negate some of that team speed on the Texas side by running straight at them. They thought and I thought for times in the game we were able to get physical with them and move them off the ball in terms of doing stuff. But you know, um, they were able to outflank us with numbers. Our play calling became so predictable by situation, just the situation in the game where we were at, where we were on the field, that they were able to outnumber us a lot of times. So I don't think that CJ and James Peoples had a chance to really shine. So they'll have better days ahead of them, but they certainly got a passing grade for me today.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I'll say is, we expected, in the past with these Buckeyes, what did we used to struggle with? There's when we needed 1 to 2 yards, are we going to be able to get it? Well, C.J. Donaldson, right? We heard from players before the season ever started that he was the one person on the team they don't really want to tackle. Well, we saw why today. There was times when it looked like he wasn't going to get any yards, but he got 1 to 2 yards. Right? Those moments really stood out to me for CJ. He's not your cut quick back, but he's your back where, hey, man, he's probably going to get you 1 or 2 yards per carry every single time. And I know that's not a stat to be like super go crazy about, but you need those kind of people on your football team for when you're 4th and goal like Texas and you can't even get it in. Well, CJ Donaldson, man, he is a tough running back, and they'll get those things worked out. First game of the season, and I would agree with your grade, Nevada, a B. But this offensive line got the job done. Philip Daniels starting at right tackle. Ethan Anianwa rotated in the first half a little bit. I didn't see him come back in after that. Bennett Christian on the first touchdown, really good block that freed CJ up to go in and score. That was Bennett Christian with go back and watch that play. He made a really good block there. These receivers, anytime it's man to man, they're going to get open. They're going to get open every single time. There were some catches that should have been made, maybe some calls that should have been called, particularly on JJ Smith. But they were targeting JJ Smith, Nevada. Like they were making sure that he got his hands on the football. Let me pull this up. Let's see what JJ ended up with. Here we go. JJ Smith ended up with six catches for 43 yards. Carnell Tate, 2 catches for 49 yards. That one, obviously, big catch. Claire, 1 reception for 11 yards, and CJ Donaldson out of the backfield, too. I'm surprised they didn't throw it to the running backs a little bit more out of the backfield, but situational, conservative play calling got the job done today. I can't be more thrilled. I like what I saw from both sides of the ball. There's a lot of things that they can get better at, and that is a blessing. That's not a let's freak out because there's a lot of things we saw. They just beat the number one team, and we saw a lot of things that they can get way better at. That should get you excited as a Buckeye fan. Nevada, anything else to add to this game or the team? And then I got one more thing I want to bring up, and then we'll get into the super chats.
Yeah, well, one I want to call out. I thought Philip Daniels was really good at right tackle today. Really good. I mean,
Yes.
you're talking about some freaking guy that was a 3-star coming out of high school that goes to Minnesota that we kind of snatch out of there, bring him in, and man, he was good today. And for a guy who's got 3 years left of eligibility, I mean that's a huge portal get. I thought he was outstanding. I thought Ethan really did well when they had him in at guard, and I thought they were running pretty effectively behind him. And that may be his future. His future may be on the interior. Maybe he's not quite fast enough to handle the outside, but on the interior, man, he's a load. And you want to have guys like that, in those situations where you need to, get behind him and push and run. Austin, I thought really held up well at left tackle. Just what a valuable piece that guy is. So I mean, hats off to him in terms of doing it. Luke Montgomery was his usual really good self. Carson Hinsman showed why I think he could win the Remington this year. No bad snaps. You really played well. It's hard for me to believe that guy was buried on the depth chart last year. That will never not be funny to me because he is such a freaking good player. But I thought Will Kazmarek did some nice job. In there. I thought Jelani Thurman, did a nice job in there. And like you said, the offense will have better days. We'll have more productive days. Yeah, JJ was getting mugged. That was really evident when we're watching, at the game at the stadium, because you can see, because sometimes you don't see that in the camera, because we're getting the whole view of the field while you're just getting the camera view.
Yeah.
He'd come out of routes, and I don't know if they were showing it or not, but he was just getting just grabbed every time. Refs did not do us any favors, so this was not, one of those games where the refs bailed us out. But hey, we found a different way to win. I'm sure Max Clutter wants to have that first pat when he drops that first one. That's not the way Max Clutter wanted to start his career at Ohio State, but he'll have better days as well. But just I mean, hey, when you beat Texas, I mean, you got to remember Texas was the number one team in the country for a reason, and they had revenge on their mind the entire offseason. You know what I'm saying? That game, the Scoop and Sawyer is still sitting right in their crawl. They're reminded of that game. They've been working on this game for 6 months now. Ohio State, Ohio State, Ohio State, Ohio State, and we freaking beat them again. So it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, come on, man. Uh, yeah, just I'm so excited. This was a game that if we lost this game, our margin for error for making the playoffs gets really, kind of narrow. You know what I'm saying? Um, because we do have a challenging schedule. We do have a challenging road schedule. We have some, really good teams on the schedule this year. This is not an easy matchup. But now that you got this win against a team as good as Texas, wow. That really puts us in a really good spot going forward mentally, a good spot with the committee. And wow, it's a great time to be an Ohio State Buckeye, that's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, real fast, game's not over. But speaking of SEC and their dominance, they just lost, and currently Florida State is ahead. It's Alabama 14-7. So SEC, I don't know what you're doing. All these 8 of the top 10 preseason ranked or whatever, but you better pick it up. Long way to go in that game, but I just got to say this: Nevada, Philip Daniels at right tackle. This is something you hear a lot, but Scoop had it first. We were in on that quite. I didn't believe it when I was first told that because of Ethan Anianwa coming in. But they're saying in the chat Ethan played quite a bit. But yeah, you're right. Philip Daniels got the job done. He absolutely killed it. But Nevada, I just got to bring this up. Fox, the Portnoy thing. All I got to say is that was just one of the most cringe shows I've ever watched. And that's not me being that's not because I'm a Portnoy hater or an Ohio State fan. That was just cringe. I don't know what they're attempting there, but that was cringe. And then what else was cringe? I had to put the game on mute. Klatt and Gus, I mean, they were all over Arch Manning. Every time he did anything remotely close to maybe possibly good, they were drooling from the mouth. And when JJ was getting mugged, they were like, I'm glad they didn't call that. I'm like, dude, they just tackled him before the ball got there. What are we talking about? But anyway, that's the only thing I wanted to say there before we got to super chats. Anything to add to that?
Well, just thankfully, I did not have to submit myself to that type of thing because, yeah, I don't understand what they're doing and letting Portnoy run around out there. I mean, I understand he's the troll, he's the thing. They're trying to do the stuff. I will say, from a broadcast standpoint, and even though we're a Fox thing, having Corso pull out the Brutus head, he had done it for his first time, he did it for his last time. It, it was perfect symmetry, and it was a great moment. It was a great moment in the stadium. They had put out the ESPN thing out there on the field. They got out there in terms of doing it, and it was just nice. I mean, it was perfect. And again, I want to go back because I started off my thing here, my rant in terms of talking about this, but man, the Ohio State game presentation people just nailed it today, man. They just nailed it. And I just like the fact that they're trying. I've been coming to Ohio Stadium games since I was little, and I just never felt like they were really trying. I felt like they just felt like, hey, the product's so good, the team's so good, we can just roll it out there and do it. And I think a lot of the former ADs were afraid of messing with the tradition, the great tradition of Ohio State. But man, they threaded the needle today and were able to match the tradition with updating it to 2025. And the result was just a glorious day. I think anybody that was there today, I'll be interested to hear other people's viewpoints on this, but from my standpoint, it was an A+. But it started with I'm glad I didn't have to watch Fox. I'm glad I got to see the ESPN moment with Lee Corso and him putting the Bruce head on in the stadium right before the game. That was special.
Yeah, I guess you answered one of the questions I wanted to ask you, if you felt like the game being at noon affected the atmosphere, and it sounds like it didn't. It sounds like the Buckeye Ross Bjork and the Buckeye, staff, they did what they needed to for game presentation, and also the fans did their part. So it sounds like this whole we need to own Big Noon. We're stuck at it, so let's own it. Well, is it fair to say that that's what the fans did? They came in and we owned Big Noon.
The fans were unbelievable today, but you knew it was going to happen though, Devin. Like before the game,
Yeah.
it had a feel, man. I'm telling you, like I was there and I'm there with my boys and I'm turning on and I'm like, oh, this just feels like you just know you could just felt it felt from the skull session to the walk over to the stadium to just the buzz and before this the game's still 20 minutes away from kickoff and almost every seat in the place is filled. Very few burnt orange Texas fans there. So I mean, this was the antithesis of the Tennessee game where you had the Nayland North thing and all that garbage. But the Ohio State faithful absolutely owned Big Noon today. They absolutely dominated the. They dominated the game. They were a factor. They were. I know we had a great guest, Jonathan Wells. Came on earlier and he was talking. We'd asked him about the game atmosphere, and he's like, "Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it makes that much difference." I didn't. They made a difference today. I mean, they made a difference today, and just an A+ effort by the crowd. I really want to shout them out because they freaking carried the pressure. But it started early and it ended late, and they never let up the entire game. And I was really proud to be there and be part of it.
Yeah, that's exciting to hear, man. I'm glad to know that Ohio State is putting in the work and the resources to make that game day atmosphere kind of what the fans have been calling for a long time. So that's awesome to hear, man. I just have this side note written. I don't like. I'm not spending a lot of time on this. I just want to bring this up. For instance, this is the last thing I heard before I hit mute. Ohio State called a last second timeout when they were on defense. And you can tell the announcers, Gus, didn't like that very much. And he made the comment, are defensive coordinators allowed to call timeout like that? I hit mute directly after. I'm like, dude, they are digging for anything that Ohio State is like. Can a defensive coordinator call timeout? Did you really just ask that? But I had to mention that, man. That was hilarious to me. And Joel was like, "Yes,"
Well,
and they went.
the Gus thing, and I know this doesn't bother a lot of people. That's fine. We can all agree to disagree. But Gus coming out, I know he's a Michigan guy or whatever it was, but just drooling all over Michigan. I don't want to hear that. I mean, I don't want to hear that. And if you want to do that, then don't freaking call the Ohio State Michigan game or don't call. What I'm saying? Like I know he's like the world famous Ohio State, like Well, I know you're completely disingenuous. You're a Michigan Wolverine fan, and obviously you're pretty uneducated too. So I'm over Gus Johnson, but I know that's just me being petty, and I'm going to say it right now. That's Nevada Buck being petty, and I'm okay with it. I own it.
Yeah, I mean, the number one thing to know that you're the best is the national title trophy. And then number two is probably how many haters you have. If you have a lot of haters, you're probably up at the top at pretty darn good at whatever it is that you're doing and people are hating on you for. Let's get into these super chats. Clueless, thank you so much for being a member for 8 months. Fine Bomb is more like Fine Bum. Great game by day. What did you think about the O line? I loved the push they were getting. Nevada.
Yeah, I mean, look, they were getting outnumbered. They were getting outnumbered. We'll break it down later on this week, and we'll do some schematic things that kind of really see how many times the running backs missed holes, how many times they were just getting dominated up front. But no, I thought the O line they acquitted themselves, very nicely. I thought they would, though. We have four guys off the offensive line last year that played a lot, and that's what we played like. I thought we got good push a lot of times. I thought we gave Julian Sayin a pretty clean pocket, all things considered. No, we didn't put up 550 yards. No, we didn't score 50 points. But I agree with you. I thought the offensive line did a nice job, got a nice push when we needed them to, and we can certainly win with this group, and this group's going to get a lot better too. And that's the most exciting thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the way the game played out. The offensive line got the job done. I don't think you can look back at this game and think man, we would have scored way more if the offensive line would have done better. I don't think you can look back and say that. That's just the way this game played out, and they did what they needed to do. They got a lot of potential, man, and we've known that. Clueless again. Thanks for the $2. Can we get a Kenyatta Jackson update? Yeah, Nevada gave us that earlier. Just concussion protocol. Hey, he's not going to be out long whatsoever. Iowa Buck. Thanks for the 4.99. Now we can get Sayin comfortable moving forward. Tough team to start a career against, but we got that win. No doubt, Iowa Buck. When Julian Sayin gets comfortable, I as a fan am very comfortable in turning him loose and letting him fling that thing because his release looks beautiful. The flight of the ball looks beautiful. His timing was good today. Ball placement, you know, for the most part was great. I mean, look at the drops. They were right in the hands. Nevada, anything to add to that?
No, I mean Julian Sayin is really good, man. I'm telling you what. I mean, I don't know how many quarterbacks could come in where you. I mean, you're talking about this is not hyperbole, but that was the biggest opener in the history of college football, and he comes against the number one team in the country, comes out there and like you said, I mean, I don't think he was close to getting intercepted. You know what I'm saying? Like he put the ball right
Yeah.
where it needed to be. But that's what he does, though. That's what he did in high school. That's what he did at the Elite 11. That's what he does. During spring ball, fall camp. He just does not put the ball in harm's way very often. He doesn't get fooled. He's a fast processor, and I totally have. It was funny because with Texas. Every time Arch Manning went back, I was like, I was Sal. I wanted him to go back there because if they had gone to the run earlier, I think that could have been problematic for us because I think they had some success running the football. But I thought that him putting the ball up, it was just a matter of time till he threw a pick, and he threw a big pick. I think he could have thrown several more, but no, Julian Saint's him, and again, we've been telling you that. We've been telling you that. And I said before the game, Julian Sayin would outperform Arch Manning. Julian said, because that was the story, was the big question about, oh, Arch Manning, he's experienced. He's the consensus number one pick in the draft. He's played. He's a Manning. And Julian Sayin, he's a complete unknown. Nobody's there. And I'm like, he's not an unknown to me. I've seen this kid play for years in high school. He's really good. And we'll see his legs at some point too. He can run. He can run. I thought he probably should have run that one there at the end, but yeah, he threw it away, kept it out of
Mm.
harm's way. But yeah, he's composed and he's gonna be really special at Ohio State.
Yeah, I mean, from watching on the TV, one of the biggest differences I saw in quarterbacks was composure. And I just saw Julian Sayin just keep his composure the entire game. There were some series and some throws where Arch looked a little bit flustered. I think Arch has a bright future. He has the potential to be a really good football player, but Julian Sayin is just proved that, in my opinion, he is above his level. And just even his interview after the game, go watch Julian. He just calm, cool, collected. Said, "Man, the announcer asked him that question. What about this Manning Sayin battle that the media was putting on before?" And he just like brushed it off and said, "No, I want people to see that I'm good at getting the balls to the playmaker on the team." And I'm just like, dude, that's a beautiful answer. And you could just see he's just chill, man. That California chill vibe. I love it. That's what you need. You need a calm, cool, collected individual because when you play at Ohio State, you're going to have pressure on you and you're going to be in some big time games and you've got to stay calm. And that's what he did today. Clueless, thanks for the $2 again. How's your hearing right now, Nevada? Nevada, are you with us? So that just answered the question.
Yeah,
Nevada's
my
hearing
my
is not
yeah,
good because he can't hear me.
no, my mute button was just not, it was just non-functioning right there.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I mean it was loud, man. I'm telling you what, it was that airplane starting up loud jet engine type of thing a lot especially at the end of the game. But I mean, the whole game it was there. The crowd brought it, man. The crowd was there from the first snap to the last snap without interruption. And I mean, look, the Buckeyes gave them a lot of material to work with and stuff like that. But they, I mean, they were on it. They were absolutely on it. And yeah, my voice is kind of hoarse and my hearing's a little shot right now, but I'm not going to come down from this for a long. I mean, this is look. I said win or lose in this game after we won it in Atlanta and won the national championship that there was nothing was going to stop me from smiling this entire year. But
Yeah.
this on top of that, I just feel like, I mean, how much blessings can we have as fans? Like we are so blessed to be Ohio State Buckeyes, and this was just icing on the cake.
It was, man, and everything, with this off season, with decisions that were made, with things and at things that didn't even involve Ohio State football. This was beautiful timing. I love it, and Nevada, I'm with you, dude. There's a smile on my face now because we see now that this team. I don't know that anybody's going to question whether this team can at least go back to back now, considering the situation they were just in. Because when I watch and I take my fan glasses off, I look at this team and see that they are definitely capable if they hit their hot streak at the right time to bring this thing back to back again. Mike Green, thank you for the 4.99. Putting Devin Sanchez in late was absolutely a recruiting move, in my opinion. Very smart move today in front of 40 plus visitors. I believe that 40 is about 100 plus visitors, but if you include family members, there was over 300 plus recruiting visitors in for this game. I can see them using that as a recruiting tool, but that was not the number one reason Devin Sanchez was in the game in that moment. That was way too important of a moment, I believe, for Ryan Day to say, hey, let's get Devin Sanchez in for recruiting. They put him in there because they trust him, and he is an absolutely elite football talent. And they got to get those first time jitters out, man. He's a first time, just like Julian Sayin, except for Devin Sanchez as a freshman. Okay, a freshman corner going in the most critical time of the game in the Horseshoe Stadium against number one team. Okay, like man, that's a lot of trust to coaching staff. But what do you think about that, Nevada?
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's a guy that's special. Everything about him is special. Like I said, he didn't have the best game today. He didn't, that wasn't his best effort. But he's going to be a great one here. The it's hard. I always say on these recruiting things, no recruit makes up his mind to go to one place on the strength of one weekend or one game or whatever it was. But dot dot dot, if you're gonna
Yeah,
put one thing out there and put something, if we wanted to, like, hey, we want to put on a good show, you know what I'm saying, like, we want to put our best foot forward. We want those guys to go, if you come to Ohio State, this is what you're part of. Oh man, we couldn't have we couldn't have asked for a better one than that today. And this is when Big Noon works to your advantage, because now they've got the rest of the day to visit with recruits, and it's not late at night, and what I'm saying, like that. They've got a chance to really get those guys out of the town and feel Columbus after a big win like this. So do I expect a recruiting bonanza as a result of this one game? No, I'm too old. I've seen this thing too many times that I don't think that's the way it works. But this sure as heck didn't hurt, because there's no way you couldn't have come to this game and left in awe. I've been to the stadium hundreds of times, and I left in awe of what I saw. If this was my first time, or I haven't been many times a lot, I would have been absolutely blown away. And it's going to be really difficult for some other visit to top this, or some other thing to do it. So yeah, Devin Sanchez getting out there, nice to do it, but just what a great show for, like you said, 100 plus recruits. Really, really a great day for Ohio State.
yeah, and Philip Daniels, he's a transfer sophomore, correct? I mean, and so he's in the game. You got Jalen McLean back there making plays. You got Devin Sanchez getting in the game. You got Julian Sayin as a sophomore. So you see that, hey, if you can play at this level, we don't care if you're a freshman or a senior, you can get on the field. So that's a good recruiting pitch as well there. Mike Green, $1.99 again. Thanks, man. Caleb said Matty P was more of a teacher than Jim. Yeah, we saw that with the interviews and Nevada. Listen, one game, right? There's only one game, but at this point in time, I'm going to put the pressure on you, man. Do you wish we had Jim Knowles back, or are you cool with Matty P?
Oh, I'm beyond cool. And like I said, I'm the biggest Jim Knowles fan in the world. You guys know that. But I just like great defense. And I I'm not sure if Jim Knowles had inherited a defense like this with as many new faces, and just, would it have looked as good as it did today? And I think the answer is no. I think the answer is no. I think that Jim Knowles, he can grow into doing stuff like that. But you're talking about a guy. who is the only person in the history of the world to have been an NFL head coach, NFL defensive coordinator, and NFL offensive coordinator. Oh, and by the way, he won 3 Super Bowls. So
Yeah.
the fact that he's our defensive coordinator, um, I'm all in. I'm like I said, I can still love Jim Knowles, and I still keep my Jim Knowles bobblehead over my desk, and all have all the fond memories of the national championship. But side by side, if you're like gun to my head, who you want for your calling your defense, Matt Patricia or Jim Knowles, I'm riding with Matty P all day, every day. And I thought we saw it on display in living color for all of us to see today. It was that was quite a performance.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like how Jim left, but you'll never catch me hating on Jim Knowles, man. I got the utmost respect from him. Number one team defense in the country, and he led us to a national title. So much respect, Jim Knowles. I know the way he left, and a lot of Buckeye fans, not big fans. I'm not one of those fans. I'm a big fan of Jim Knowles, but not right now. I'm going to root against him for sure. But yeah, shout out him. And dang, what else did I want to say about Matt Patricia? I forgot, but I'm sure it will come back up. Gio, thanks for the $2. Joel Klatt is awful. Go Bucks. Thanks, Gio. Nevada, anything to add there? No,
Well,
we're
I
good.
didn't hear his awfulness today, but I'll say Joel Klatt used to be my favorite announcer. He used to be my favorite announcer, and in the recent years, he's gotten bad. And I can't really put my finger on the moment or whatever it is. So hearing that he was awful today, um, that doesn't surprise me because he's been awful late. And I don't know what happened because he used to be terrific, and now he's not. So there you have it.
Yeah, I'm real careful about this stuff because I'm such a super fan of Ohio State that I like to take a step back and make sure I'm not hating on an announcer out of my fandom for the team. And I did that multiple times. I took a step back, and you hear Joel Klatt drooling over Arch Manning, but Julian Sayin, they just weren't as excited when they were talking about Ohio State. And then some of the calls, they were like, that's not really pass interference on JJ. There was just certain things that was just like, oh man, come on, like just be real about what you're seeing. But they had a lot of excitement when Texas got momentum, and I mean a lot. So, Gio, thanks for the $2. Colin Simmons did nothing. He did nothing. Nevada, what you got for that?
Well, I don't, maybe you can call up the stats because you might have the stats there and see if that's true. I, it didn't seem like he did much, and I think Philip Daniels had a terrific game matched up on him, but that's where looks can be deceiving. I could make that comment, and then you could go, well, Nevada, he had 14 tackles, and I'll be like, oh man, boy, do I feel stupid. But I agree. It didn't seem like he was doing all. He certainly wasn't wreaking havoc. You're talking about a guy that was consensus best defensive player in America. A lot of people like him more than Caleb Downs, and I didn't see him do much. But I want that borne out by some stats. And so I don't know if you have those defensive stats at your fingertips. If not, I can call them up.
Yeah, here we go. We got Colin Simmons, one tackle and one assist. So,
Wow, wow,
yeah,
yeah.
one and one. Let's see. They had Malik.
I think did nothing is probably being generous. Then I mean, he had one more
Yeah,
tackle and one more assist than you and I had.
they had 0 sacks the entire game. Zero
Yeah,
sacks. Anthony Hill Jr., their star linebacker, one tackle.
wow.
One tackle. Hero Canoe, one tackle. Get some, dude. You switched to the wrong team, homeboy. Anyway, hey, Mark, thanks for being a member for 3 months. Time to run it back. That is a perfect comment to end this show on. But before that, Nevada, final comments, final thoughts on the upcoming season, upcoming games, what the Buckeyes did this game. Ryan Day, Matt Patricia, whatever, man. What do you got for us? It's a great day to be a Buckeye.
Well, look, we've been accused of being too positive about the state of Ohio State football sometimes. People are like, "Oh, you're too positive." And I know there's other podcasts where they're really negative, or they talk about all the bad things. And I'm just telling you, we're not sunshine pumpers, we're weathermen, because I'm sitting there going, we just played six top five teams in a row and beat them all. And we just beat the number one team in the country. And we're the defending national champion. And we have a super young team that's only going to get better. A head coach who's only 45 years old, and the best damn fans in the land. So I am just as happy as could be. I'm so tickled by what I saw today. I'm so excited about the season, and there's absolutely no reason. I don't know if we will go back to back, because you got to get really lucky and dodge a lot of bullets to get there. Um, but there's no reason we can't. It's all in front of us.
Yeah. Amen. Yo, shout out Mr. Satani Lay, Epi's father. Thanks for the 4.99. I'm burnout. Been in Columbus for 4 days. My whole family from out west. Fandom at the shoe was amazing. Yeah, man. It's great to be a Buckeye. One of those, he might or may not have been a USC fan before his son decided to come here. But let me tell you something, the Buckeyes are wearing off on him. I talk to him about every day, and every time he just wants to talk more and more about the Buckeyes. So this culture, this brotherhood, what Ryan Day has going on, I mean, it's just the absolute full package. I can't see how, any recruit watched what happened today and watched what happened all of last year and look at the Buckeyes and not want to come here. I mean, this is just a place for success. Now, listen, we're gonna have our times where we stumble and fall, but it's about what we do after that. And I think Ryan Day proved the type of team that he creates. When they fall, boy, do they get back up. They get back up and they go take it all. So I'm excited for this season. I'm excited for these new guys on this team and what we got going overall. Again, like I said at the beginning of the show, my number one goal here, I kind of listened to Ryan Day. I didn't put expectations on this team. The only expectation I put on them was win the game. And I was able to enjoy this game a lot more as a fan, having that mindset. Now, I yelled a few times, got a little mad, some of the drops and whatnot. But that's just the passion of being a Buckeye fan, man. That we hold them to an extremely high standard. But they got the W today. Don't know what else we could ask for. Grambling, you're up next, man. Here's another super chat. Thanks for the $1.99. Kevin, love to Nate love to Nate Roberts. Block on CJT touchdown run was huge. Dang, I didn't even know he got in the game. Yeah, I haven't broke that down yet, but that's amazing. Look at that. Another freshman, Nate Roberts, tight end. Man, Keenan Bailey in this tight end position, Nevada. He's doing work, man. You got anything to add to that?
Well, yeah, I mean, Keegan Bailey is a guy that I mean, we haven't always been as big of fans, and I always say, I always want to be fair. One of the hallmarks in the show is we try to be fair. We try to give props and roses when they're due, and we'll throw out the barbs when they're not. But man, he has built a deep, deep. Tight end room that you're getting, contributions from Nate, that I didn't know that either. It's, when you're at the game, and it's hard sometimes, because you're just, so much is flying around, and you're watching everything like that, and I definitely miss that. But that's really exciting that they got him in there in that situation, and that they cashed it out. I want to go back to one of the super chats. I guess you said that was Epi's dad, USC fan. Look, I've been to 100 USC games. Um, y- you know, the atmosphere at Ohio State game compared to USC game. Come on. We all know we can be like, I like USC. I got all my best friends are all USC fans, but when you go to a USC game, it ain't like it was today. Let me tell you what, that's more of a wine and cheese crowd, and we sit there and we do the thing and we clap, and it's really fun. It's great. And the cheerleader, the song girls, USC cheerleaders, I salute them. They're super awesome. But man, anybody who came today, the differences could not have been more stark and apparent. That's for sure.
Yeah. I just got a text from a football genius that told me Nate Roberts was the fullback on the
Oh, there.
CJ Hicks
Wow.
or
Let's
CJ
go.
Donaldson touch. Dude, that's crazy, man. Nate Roberts, freshman tight end position, freshman, Ohio State. Those are words that do not go together. And he's in as the fullback on the very first touchdown scored in the game. Man, a lot to be excited about. Yeah, sorry, Nevada. I didn't let you respond to that super chat. You got it in now. I got ahead of myself a little bit, but
Well, no, just
alrighty.
the USC stuff, man. I'm not expert on a lot of things, but I've been to so many USC games, and they're just a different kind of animal. But I'm just so great that we have Epi out here, and I'm so glad that his family get a chance to go out there and see what real football is like here in the Midwest, because this is just different.
Yeah, we need now. We just need some of Epi's family members to come along and join him. Because let me tell you, you want to know about a talented football family, bro. Go look at go look at some of his relatives. They're pretty much all in the top 100 in every class that they're in. So maybe this opens up the door for some more California kids to come to the Buckeyes, bro. That would be big time.
Yeah,
But
that would be fun. But that'd be fun. Big USC decommit. Let's get him. Let's get him over here to Ohio State.
yeah, let's get it, man. All right, y'all. We appreciate you guys. Don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well. Go check out the Scoop message board. A lot of the things that we talked about right now were talked about during the camp, the expectations of this team. A lot of those were met, some of those weren't met today. Get over to the Scoop message board to check that out. It's nonstop over there. It's pretty awesome. If you're a Buckeye fan, you need to be over there. But on that note, we appreciate you guys for coming. We love you guys. Go Buckeyes. OH. IO. Golly. Peace.